Welcome to Todd's weekly webinar at People First Coaching and Consulting. Thank you for joining me this week. I know a lot of you are catching this on the replay, so I will be sending that out this afternoon. So look for that in your emails. Today's topic is over promoting your best employee and how that can harm your business or your organization. So we're going to talk about a lot of things around that subject and that topic. And I'm going to give you 5 questions that you need to ask before promoting an employee into leadership, specifically into leadership. Now, if you're in the mailroom and you're going from basement bargain bottom of the bin mail sorter to lead mail sorter, not quite the same idea, but we're talking about moving from a position of staff or into leadership or management of some sort like that. So I want to start with a story, and this story is about somebody, and I'll call Sue. So Sue was a server at a restaurant for almost a decade, and she was a favorite of the locals. People would come in and specifically wait for Sue, a table in Sue's section, so that they could be served by Sue, and everybody loved her. She was fantastic. She had great skills with her serving and relationship building, and just everybody loved Sue. And so the owners of the restaurant were like, kind of watching this for a while. And like, man, she is so consistent. She's so good at what she does. Maybe she could train the other servers, and maybe we should put her into management or, something like that. And so that's what they did. And Sue agreed. She's like, yeah, I'll take a stab at it. And so they put her into management. Now, mind you, Sue had been with this restaurant for almost a decade, and she got into management and then ended up quitting within 6 months because she hated it. She absolutely hated it, and she didn't like it. She wasn't good at it. So what were the things that Sue was really good at when she was a server? Well, obviously taking care of her customers, customer relations, building relationships, and staying organized and just getting her work done. Like, she was fantastic at that. Once she got into management, clients, customers, people at the restaurant were no longer who she was concerned with. She had to then manage other employees. And that's where things started to fall apart. That was not something she was good at. That was not something that she liked doing. And so the whole job just kind of took a negative turn for her. So she ended up quitting. Now, why she didn't go back into just being a server, I don't know. I don't know the details of the story, but that is a really good example of over promotion. Just because you have an employee or a staff member who is fantastic at their job does not mean they are leadership material. So let me say that again. Just because you have a fantastic employee who knocks it out of the park does not mean that they are leadership material. You need to really assess leadership qualities and traits before you put somebody in leadership positions. So here's what putting a bad leader in a leadership position can do for you. So I want you to think about this as you are the leader, you're the CEO of the company, and you are the person who is looking to promote one of these employees into management. Here's what doing a bad job at that looks like. If you take somebody who's fantastic at their job, but not a good leader, 3 things can happen. First thing is it's probably going to frustrate the rest of the staff. The rest of the staff is going to be like, okay, they're good at their job, but they're not a good leader, because people know. Like, when you work with somebody, you know if they're good at being a leader or if they're just really good at being a worker bee. And that's okay. The second thing is it's probably going to lower the morale of the rest of the staff, because the rest of the staff doesn't want to work for the person who you put in leadership, because they know what's really going on, because they work with them every single day. And the third thing, and you really need to take stock of this, is it can cause the rest of the staff to lose respect for you, because you made a decision to put somebody in leadership who was not ready for leadership or was not good at leadership or whatever reason. Now the rest of the staff is looking at you and questioning your decision-making. And that is one of the last things that you want. You do not want your staff to lose respect for you, because if they lose respect for you, they're going to stop following you and trusting you as their leader. So don't over promote people. There are people who are meant to be CEOs of companies and make a gazillion dollars. Sure. There are people who are meant to wash the floors and be really good at it and be happy with that. And that's okay. Not everybody has to ascend to a really high position and make a ton of money. We need people who can do all the jobs. Like, what would happen if we went to McDonald's and nobody was there anymore? I used to use this example a lot, but if you went to McDonald's and you saw, let's pick somebody famous who would LeBron James, basketball player. Everybody knows who LeBron James is. If you were to take LeBron James and you walked into McDonald's and you saw him working in the back, not even at the front counter, working in the back, making fries, and that was his job, would that make sense? Be like, no, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like he's this, fantastic basketball player. He's widely known all around the globe. Like, why is he working at McDonald's? That is beneath him, and that's okay. Absolutely correct. It is beneath him. He has a skill set that means he should be doing something else like playing basketball full time. And that's what he should be doing. So to see him making fries, that doesn't make sense. Now, if we walk into McDonald's and there's some high school junior whose first job that they ever got is making fries and they're making fries, that makes more sense. It's their first job ever. They're young. They've not had life experience where they can be in leadership positions or anything better than that. Okay, that makes sense. So I want you to keep that example in mind as we kind of walk through some of these questions. So I'm going to ask 5 questions about what you need to ask before putting somebody into a leadership position. Question number 1, can they influence others without relying on their authority? And what that means is, are they able to move through leadership situations without having to say, well, I'm the boss, this is what's going to happen? Because as soon as you start throwing your title or your position or your authority around, you lose respect and people are going to stop listening to you automatically. So I've often said that leadership, good leadership, is getting other people to do what you want them to do and making them think it's their idea. Now, that's kind of cheeky and maybe a little sneaky, but that's really what leadership is getting to people to go to a place where they didn't think they were going to go or do something they didn't think they were going to do, but it's still for the good of the company, for the good of the organization, and follows the mission and vision. So you need to be able to influence others to get them to go along with your ideas or whatever the ideas of the company are. So when you're looking at somebody to promote into a position of leadership, do they have that sort of influence? So you can think of let's think of 2 social extremes. We have like wallflowers on one side of the social spectrum, and then we have extroverts on the other side. So introverts and extroverts. Typically, extroverts are the people that you see in leadership positions. Why? Because they're good at talking to other people. They're good at navigating social situations. Most introverts don't like those sort of things. They'd rather just stay to themselves, not have to deal with other people, and that's really what's best for them. So oftentimes in management and leadership, you see extroverts because they're the people who can navigate social situations and have influence with other people. So that makes sense. Now, I'm not casting any weight or value on introverts versus extroverts, but that is typically what you see. So true leaders earn the trust and respect through relationships, not through titles. Think about somebody in your life, in your work, in your organization, wherever you may be, who is just, man, like you're just working side by side with them and think, man, if they were ever like, hey, you should be in management. You are fantastic at this. You've got great ideas. You should be the one leading us. Those people may not want the position. They may not want the title. But when you think about them, they're really good because they have your respect. And if they have your respect, then you're more likely to listen to them. Now, can that person influence those around them? Sometimes, yes. Oftentimes, you'll see those people as team leads. They don't want a position of management, but they're okay dealing with a couple other people. And yeah, they do have some good ideas. And yes, they can help you along. So maybe that's lower level management. And that's where they just want to stay. And that's okay. If they're like, hey, you know what? I like leading our team because we're still doing the job together. I don't have to manage people. Okay, I'm good with that. And that's okay. The second question that you need to ask before you put somebody into leadership is, do they demonstrate emotional intelligence under pressure? So let me unpack emotional intelligence a little bit. Emotional intelligence is your ability to read the room, look at the people around you and be able to see, hey, are they having a good day? Are they having a bad day? Are they upset? Why are they upset? What made them upset? How can I get them unupset? And having emotional intelligence is navigating people. That is really what it is. It's not doing any sort of work, but it is navigating social situations, navigating people, their emotions, and getting other people to navigate them with you and together. So all of that, we call those soft skills. Hard skills is, yes, I can make a spreadsheet. Yes, I can do accounting. Yes, I can do this. Soft skills are the things that are intangible, the things that you just navigate the world with. Those are soft skills. So having the emotional intelligence to handle situations under pressure, like you have somebody come into your office and they're just hopping mad about something. Do you react and get hopping mad back? Or are you able to have a conversation, have them sit down in your chair, talk with them, calm them down, figure out what's going on, assess the situation, and then find a solution? So I think a really good example of this is police officers. I think over the last 5 years, we have seen a lot of riots around the world, and we see police officers, and we see some police officers reacting really well, where they are just completely stone-faced, and they're just, you can tell nothing's bothering them. Now, what are they thinking inside their head? Probably they're bothered. But on the outside, they are staying calm, cool, and collected. Now, you see people in these riots, and sometimes you do see police officers make bad decisions where they react and they respond and they get really upset. And then the situation usually degrades from there rather quickly. So think about that. As a leader, you need to be calm, cool, and collected at all times. Why? Because your followers, your staff, the people who are your direct reports are watching you. I heard a funny illustration of this. And there was a man flying on an airplane, and they hit really rough turbulence, rough enough where the masks drop down from the ceiling, and people are getting really scared and freaked out and whatever. And this guy's he's just sitting back in his chair, and he's just so calm, so calm. And the person next to him says, "Sir, how can you be so calm in a situation like this? We're bouncing around. The turbulence is bad. The masks came down." And he goes, "I'm watching the stewardess, and the stewardess is still doing her job. If she's not worried, I'm not worried." Well, 5 minutes later, the stewardess runs to the back of the plane, puts on her seatbelt, and puts on his mask. Then the guy grabs his mask, and he's nervous, because you're looking for leadership, for people who are leading you, and what are their responses. If you as a leader can remain calm, cool, and collected at all times, your staff is going to follow that. And that is part of emotional intelligence. You're going to have some situations where people are upset, not necessarily with you, but they're just crying and upset. I had a staff member come into my office one time and say, "Todd, before we have our meeting, can I just close the door?" And I was like, sure, okay. Is everything okay? She's like, "Nope, I just need to have a good cry. I don't need to talk about it. I just need to cry." Sure, that's fine. Go ahead, close the door. So I turned my chair around because my computer was behind me, and I started just working on email and doing some work. And I was like, "Here's a box of tissue. You let me know when you're done, when you're ready, and then we'll just do our meeting." And she's like, "Cool, thanks." So she took 5 minutes, and I was just typing away on my email, and I tried not to, pay any attention to her. And she's like, "Okay, Todd, I'm ready. I'm good now. Thank you." And I was like, "Do you want to talk about it?" She's like, "Well, my husband and I, we're going through in vitro fertilization, and it's just a stressful time right now. And there's just a lot going on, and I just needed that time." I was like, "Okay, no worries. I'm here to support you." We had our meeting, and she went off. Now, that 5 minutes, me as a leader giving her that space to just do that thing that she needed, really cemented our relationship moving forward. We had a deeper relationship after that. I was able to ask her to do things because she trusted me. She was in a very vulnerable situation emotionally, and I demonstrated that I could be trusted with her emotions. And we had a fantastic working relationship after that. So again, that's part of being emotionally intelligent. Now, I've also come into situations where I've had two adults screaming at each other, and I've had to navigate that. Again, calm, cool, and collected. How do I handle that situation? Well, it kind of depends on what's going on, but I had to calm people down and get them to stop screaming at each other. Now, did that mean I had to raise my voice a little bit in a situation so I could just be heard? Sure. But raising your voice in a calm, cool, and collected way is a lot different than screaming and reacting back. So what I did was I responded to the situation. I did not react to the situation. And those are two very different things. When you respond, you're in control. When you react, sometimes you are not in control. So think about that. The third question that we have to ask ourselves when we are looking to put somebody in a position of leadership is, have they shown a willingness to develop others and not just themselves? Some people want to climb the corporate ladder for them. They want the title, they want the paycheck, they want the fancy car, the corner office, whatever it is. That's what they want for them. They're in it for them. They're not necessarily going to be a leader because they're in it for themselves. Now, if you're looking at like team leads and you see a team lead who is consistently helping other people on the team or teaching them a better way to do something, you can see, you know what, this person is doing these things, but they gain nothing from it. But the team gains a lot from what they're doing. That's somebody you want to start looking at and say, they're really trying to develop other people for the good of the team, for the good of the mission, for the good of the company. That's a leader that you want to take stock of. So good team leaders, they often outperform the rest of the team, but they don't outperform them and leave them in the dust. They outperform them and they bring them along with them. They're like, hey, I got this done early. I'll finish that up for you. Or how can I help you in this? Or, hey, there's a better way to do that. Let me show you real quick. And if you like it, then you can just take it and run with it. Another thing that I've seen leaders do is when they're developing others, they give of themselves freely. Here's an idea. I don't care that who gets credit for it, but here's an idea. Just take it, run with it, develop it, see if it works for you. If it does, great. I don't care who gets the credit for it. That's a leader, because they don't care who gets the credit as long as something positive is coming from it and the company and the team is moving forward. That's a great leader that you need to take stock of. Question number 4, can they handle conflict directly, respectfully, and constructively? This is a big one. A lot of people can lead until it comes to conflict. You have to be able to have difficult conversations. Now, oftentimes people think about difficult conversations as being like conflict all the time, and it does not need to be that. I talked a couple of weeks ago with a client of mine about, well, we need to hold people accountable. Yes. Well, accountability does not necessarily mean punishment and consequences. Sometimes accountability is just a conversation. Maybe it's just a question. So when we're holding people accountable, what does that look like? When we're having hard conversations with people, what does that look like? A client of mine that I've been working with for some time now is looking at a team lead and somebody on the team, this team lead's direct report, and the direct report is doing a better job leading the team than the team lead. And so my client came to me and was like, how do I handle this? Like, the team lead really isn't doing a good job, has a poor attitude about leading the team, and has even relented and said, yes, the person on the team is doing a better job leading the team than I am. So I said, just have a conversation and say, hey, these are some of the things that I'm noticing. You are the team leader, but I notice that sometimes you don't always attend to the needs of the team. How's that going? Is everything going okay with that? Or how do you feel about that? And just have a very easygoing conversation. Nothing needs to be decided now, but just have a conversation, and maybe even lead with that. Say, hey, I want to have a conversation with you, but I have no end goal in mind. I just want to have a conversation and just kind of ask you about some things and see where it goes. Sometimes that is the best strategy that you can use, because if you come to somebody and say, hey, I see some issues here and we've got to make some changes, well, automatically that's going to sound kind of final and that there's going to be some negative consequences. But if you just say, hey, I want to have a conversation with you about this. I'm seeing some deficiencies in what you're doing. I'm also seeing some other people do some of these things. Let's talk about what that looks like and how that's going. And so my client actually had this conversation with the team lead, and the team lead said, yeah, the person on the team is doing a better job with it. I just don't like managing people. Like it in the way that I manage people is not the way that these people need to be managed. Yeah, maybe we need to talk about that. Maybe it would be better to give that person on the team my responsibilities, because yeah, I mean, there's other things that I need to do, but like, yeah, maybe they should be the team lead and not me. And my client was like, yeah, okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's not make any decisions right now. And it was just an easygoing conversation. and they're kind of still in the middle of that. And it's going really well because now it's like, all right, what's best for the company? The team leader has other management responsibilities, so they're not going to lose their job or get demoted or anything. But maybe letting go of that role is the best thing. And that's what my client is leaning towards. Like, yes, I think it is the best thing for this person to not be team lead anymore and give those responsibilities and maybe a small promotion or whatever it may be to the team member who's doing these things actively on a consistent basis and advocating for the team. Maybe it's just a conversation. Maybe it's just a conversation. So try that. Have conversations with people and see how you can navigate situations, because that's going to also tie into your emotional intelligence. Because let's say you have that same conversation and then the person gets mad. Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm not doing a good job? Oh, hold on. Let's break it down a notch. We're just having a conversation. We need to navigate. We have to have this conversation because these are the things that I'm seeing and we're not functioning well. So we do have to have the conversation. Yes. So let's sit down and talk about it. And then let's see if we can come up with some solutions. So respectfully, constructively, calm, cool, and collected, but you have to be able to have hard conversations. And here's a little sub note to point number 4 about, can you handle conflict directly? When you are in leadership, when you are in management, your job is no longer the job. Your tasks are no longer getting the tasks done. Your job and tasks are the people. So that's the first thing I always ask other leaders or people who are prospective leaders who are looking to get into leadership. Okay, I see your aspirations and the things that you want to climb to and attain to, but how do you deal with dealing with people? How do you like managing other people? Oh, I don't want to manage other people. I don't want to babysit. Like, I just want them to shut up and do their jobs. Okay, then maybe leadership is not something that you should be looking for, because leadership is about leading people. It's not about the tasks and the job getting done. So keep that in mind, because that's very important. All right, our 5th and final question that you should ask before promoting an employee to a position of leadership is, are they committed to the mission and vision and not just their own success? The mission and vision of your company needs to drive and lead all things that you do. If it can't be tied directly back to your mission and vision, then should you be doing it? That's a really good question. I have seen companies who have gotten their mission and vision a little twisted, and they start doing things that have no direct correlation to their mission and vision. And it's like, well, you're spending a lot of time, effort, and money on this thing over here, but your mission and vision are directing you to go this direction. So what's that really about? Well, yeah, I guess we got into that and we thought, we could do it. And I was like, but that's not what your company's about. Okay, fair point. So think about that. Are they committed to the mission, vision, and not just their own success? You will see that. And that will be something that you will be able to determine without even having a conversation with them. You just have to observe their work. Look at the work that they're doing and see how they dedicate time to quality, how they dedicate their time to getting the job done correctly, and what do they focus on when they're doing the job. Are they just like, all right, let me just knock this out. I'm putting my widget together and yep, it's together, off it goes. Or do they check their widget? Yep, the screws are good. Yep, because they want to produce a really good product. I had an acquaintance years ago who used to work for I don't want to call anybody out. So I'll say a major car manufacturer in the United States of America. And this person was, their parents also worked in the same factory. So this is, kind of a family generational job. So mom and dad worked in the factory. They had their son. Then their son started working in the factory when he became old enough. And it was just kind of, this family thing. And he related a very interesting story to me. He said that at one point, one of his parents worked on the windshield line where they would install the windshields on the cars as the cars were coming down the production line. And he said at the end of the day, they had a dumpster at the end of the windshield line. And at the end of the day, there was usually 2 to 3 windshields in that dumpster. that were cracked or broken and that needed to be thrown out because either the machine was installing it wrong, or sometimes when there's welding around parts of the windshield frame, there'd be like a little spur of extra weld or something like that. And when they press the windshield in, it would crack. So they'd have to, sand that out and then reinstall a new windshield. And he said, when my parents were doing it, they'd throw out 2 to 3 windshields a day. He said, now that I'm doing this job in this place, and I see that, they empty that dumpster every single day. The dumpster is filled every single day, which means further up the line, who's ever doing the welding is not doing a careful job. They don't care. The welds are getting done, but they're not making sure the excess metal is getting sanded or buffed off. Not quality. The people further up the line don't care about that job. So then as the windshield people start installing stuff, they're cracking and breaking windshields. That's slowing them down. I don't know. Do I want to promote that person up there who really doesn't care about the product that they're producing? Probably not. But if there's somebody who goes over their product every single time and makes sure that it's quality and they're producing good quality, those are the people that you want to look for. So when you're thinking about promoting people into a position of leadership, you want to ask them, and I'm going to review these 5 questions for you. Number 1, can they influence others without relying on their authority, title, or position? Because they have to be able to navigate people. Number 2, do they just demonstrate emotional intelligence under pressure? Can they navigate social situations and people who are upset, happy, sad, whatever, and do that in a calm, cool, and collected way? Number 3, have they shown a willingness to develop others and not just themselves, and not just climb the corporate ladder? Number 4, can they handle conflict directly, respectfully, and constructively, excuse me? And number 5, are they committed to the mission and not just their own success? What do all 5 of those questions have in common? They're all dealing with other people in some way, shape, or form. So we go back to kind of our original thought of, if you are going into leadership or management or some sort of leadership position, it is not about the job or the task. It is about leading and managing people. And you have to have the soft skills to be able to do that. So if you have any questions about this, or if you found this content helpful, please reach out to me. Leave me a comment below. I would love to discuss these things. I talk about leadership all the time. My family gets sick of it sometimes, but I absolutely love developing other people and turning them into great leaders. And sometimes people just don't know what great leaders they are until they've had somebody so into them. So if you found this content valuable or helpful, please contact me, reach out, share it. And thank you for joining me this week. I appreciate your time. We'll see you next week.